G'day, I'm Kwackajack and I own a 2019 Kawasaki Ninja 400. Now we have done a lot of miles together and there is a lot to love about this motorcycle. I've praised everything from its engine to the way it looks and how it handles, but unfortunately this is not a perfect bike. There are a few things that I just wish Kawasaki would have done a little bit differently when making the bike, and that would have made my life with it all that much more enjoyable and easier. So today we are going to be talking about the 5 things that I wish my Ninja 400 did just a little bit differently. First up, the dash. Now look, I understand this is more of a beginner and maybe even a budget motorcycle, so I understand not having the flashiest of equipment on it. But I mean, this bike has been around for around 4 or 5 years now, and in that time tech has gotten significantly cheaper. So what's stopping Kawasaki from putting the TFT display in from pretty much all of their other bikes into this one? Everything from the 650 and up has gotten Kawasaki's TFT display, which shows information clearly and accurately. But the 400 is still stuck in the past, having the analog tack and little display. I mean, don't get me wrong, the dash here isn't bad. I just wonder what's stopping them from putting that one in here as well. I don't even need to have their fancy Rideology app connectivity or anything like that. Just give me the nice display. Okay, the second thing is the handlebars. And I know this is a bit nitpicky, but I think any other 400 owners out there will relate to me on this one. Now, I don't actually have an issue with the placement of the handlebars or anything like that, but I do have an issue with the lack of space for a phone mount. If you're like me and you aren't a fan of a stem mount, then you will find it quite difficult to find room on here for a regular phone mount on the handlebars. Now, I've made a video discussing how to do it on the 400, but the fit is very tight, and in some cases you'll actually have to move some of these things over just to get it to fit. You're limited to this little space right here, and it isn't the easiest thing to get on. If Kawasaki would have just given us an extra centimeter here, it would make life so much easier. Instead, we've got that middle flat section, which is basically just unusable. Again, this isn't a huge deal if you mind using a stem mount, but me personally, I'm not a fan because you have to look all the way down from the road, and I much prefer the regular handlebar setup. Moving on to number 3, and it's the brakes. I said in my full review of this bike that the brakes here aren't anything to write home about, and that's still true today. If we were traveling back in time and remaking the bike, the front ones can stay, but the rear, they'd be gone. The rear brakes are spongy and don't inspire a whole lot of confidence while riding. I wish that they were just a bit stronger and had a bit more feel to them. Now again, I understand that in this class of bikes, we're probably not going to be getting the best equipment in the world. And admittedly, this bike does come with ABS, which is a big plus. But I just wish that the rear brakes were a little bit better and not so spongy. Now number 4, to be honest, is probably the biggest one for me personally, and it is the stock exhaust. Man, it's just a big bulky unit, isn't it? Now, I chucked the Leo Vince aftermarket pipe on there for quite a while, which made it look and I think sound a lot better. Unfortunately, it did get a little bit too loud for me, so I have gone back to the stock exhaust. But man, I just wish it wasn't so damn huge.
That's what she said.
They could have either made it smaller or more discreet, you know, even given it the underbody exhaust that the 650 has. It also sounds pretty weak, and I think it just doesn't match the overall aesthetic of the rest of the bike. This is a pretty easy fix, of course. You just chuck on an aftermarket pipe and you're sweet. And it is personal opinion, so some people may like the stock look. Me though, not so much. All right, lastly, we come to the windscreen. I wish it was just a little bit taller from the get-go. I'm 6 feet tall, and with my proportions while riding, the wind from the windscreen is angled directly in the middle of my helmet. This causes a fair amount of buffering, especially on the highway, and I usually find myself trying to tuck down to get out of it. Kawasaki does actually make a taller windscreen for this bike, and you could also get an aftermarket one, but it is something that I would have liked to have seen be a little bit taller right from the start. Now, I admit, a lot of these things are pretty nitpicky and small, and they in no way take away from how great of a bike this is overall. If it were 2.5 years ago when I was in the same position looking to pick up my first motorcycle, I would absolutely still go with the Ninja 400 because I think it is probably one of the best, if not the best, beginner motorcycle in the class. Yes, I wish that Kawasaki did a few little things differently about it, but overall, man, it's a great friggin' bike. Plus, a lot of these things that I've mentioned are super easy to fix and change to your liking. But there you have it. There are the 5 things that I wish my Ninja 400 did differently. Let me know what you reckon down in the comments below, and if you have the same bike, tell me if you agree or what those things are for you. Thanks for watching, guys. Until next time. See ya. So it begins. The birds. A little bit differently. Every fucking time. Room on the handlebars here. In this class of... Are you serious? Fuck off. Probably the biggest one for me personally. And it is... Oh, fucking shut up, you fucking pricks. And you know what? Admittedly,